message, but feel free to share your name, where you're coming in from, as well as your student's major or something that you're excited for your student to experience here at Temple. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome in. Thank you all so much for being here. I know it's some of your lunch break, so we really appreciate it. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat by sharing your name, where you're from, as well as one thing you're excited for your student to experience here at Temple or your student's major. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Welcome to the Ask the Experts About the Student Experience panel. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. We'd really appreciate it. And I love hearing where everyone's coming in from. We'll get started in just a minute here. Again, thank you all so much for being here today. If you're just joining us, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat by sharing your name, where you're from, as well as your student's major or one thing you're so excited for your student to experience here. Looks like we have somebody from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. All right, Austin, Texas. That's kind of far. Welcome in. Your daughter's major is an STHM. Thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. And if you're just joining us, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We're just going to get started in a couple of minutes here. It looks like we have some Philly people. I know some of our students on here today are from Philly as well. And then we also have Jersey with a business major. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get started in just a minute, but please continue to introduce yourselves in the chat. And again, thank you for being here. All right, another Philadelphia, Wisconsin, Maryland, film and media arts major. That's so exciting. That's such a cool major. Nursing. Thank you all so much. All right, I'm gonna get started in just a second, but again, thank you all so much for joining us, and please feel free to continue to introduce yourselves in the chat as we get started here. All right. Hello and welcome to the Parent and Family Orientation Ask an OWL, Ask the Experts webinar. My name is Emily, and I am the summer graduate student intern for the Office of New Student and Family Programs here at Temple University. We're so glad that y'all decided to join us today. We would love to get to know more about everyone who's with us, so please continue to introduce yourselves in the chat. Include your name and where you're from so that we know who's joining us today. We have enabled closed captions for this session, and to view those captions, please click Captions, then select Show Captions. This session will be recorded and the link will be shared after today on the Parent and Family Orientation Hub. Today's panelists are current Temple students who are also orientation team leaders. This amazing group of student leaders assists both new students and families with getting acclimated to college life. Following their brief presentation, we will have a Q&A session for the remainder of our time together, so get your questions ready. We will get started with our presentations and our Q&A in just a moment, but there are a few announcements I'd like to share first. You've likely noticed that your audio and video are muted. You can see and hear us, but we cannot see and hear you. So please submit your questions using the Q&A feature. To do so, click the Q&A button to open the window, then type your question in the text field. If you want your question to be anonymous, check the Send Anonymously checkbox and then click Send. Your question will not be viewable to the rest of the participants until after it has been answered. We will also share helpful links in the chat, so keep an eye on that while we're doing the panel. We'll do our very best to answer as many questions as we can today, but if we're unable to answer all of the questions, we'll provide contact information for our office at the end for you to follow up with us. If you have any questions related to other offices, we've either done a webinar with them or have one coming up, so we can share that at the end, or you can look in the Parent and Family Experience portal. All right, we are ready for our orientation team leaders to introduce themselves to you. I'm going to start with Josh, if you want to get started.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Orientation Team Leader Josh. I use he, him, his pronouns. I am a transfer student who had the pleasure of coming here last year in the fall. My major is psychology, which is representative of the College of Liberal Arts, and I am currently a senior, and I am from West Philadelphia.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Megan. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a second-year advertising major, which is in Klein School College of Media and Communications, and I am from Northeast Philadelphia.
Good afternoon. My name is Jada. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a second-year journalism major, which is which is the School of Klein Media and Communications, and I am from Washington, D.C.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming in today. My name is Monica. I use she, her pronouns. I'm going into my junior year under the exercise and sports science major, which is under the College of Public Health. And I'm coming in from Moline, Illinois, but I have moved around before, so I'm familiar with some states in the West Coast and in the South as well.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nitin. I use he, him pronouns. I am a junior biochemistry major, which is in the College of Science and Technology. And I'm from Edison, New Jersey. If you guys have any questions about international students or anything like that, I can help you with those as well.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. And now we're going to hear a little bit more about what the orientation team leader position looks like. Monica, if you want to start sharing a little bit about that.
Yes, perfect. All right. So now that you kind of know who we are, I'd love to share what we do. We are in the middle and heading towards the end of our orientation. Everyone here is an orientation team leader or works with us. We mainly support and mentor our peers by guiding them and walking them into their freshman year or their first year here at Temple University. We do that in person and in virtual orientations, kind of like this one. We do many things just to kind of get them acquainted to Temple and to possible peers by doing icebreakers, doing group discussions, and having campus tours. We've really all had a blast doing that. I know I've met a lot of great people coming into Temple this way. But it doesn't end during the summer. We also help out with Weeks of Welcome, which is the first week here at Temple where it's a school initiative to help everybody kind of make a community here. And we also help out during homecoming weekend, which is when you all, the family and supporters of our Temple students, are welcomed here on campus. We have a lot of events, and I highly suggest you come and check it out during that time.
Thank you so much. All right, it's time for our panelists or our L team leaders to answer your questions. Please feel free to continue to post any questions that you have in that Q&A feature. It's at the bottom of your screen where you see a question mark, but we're gonna get started. All right, my first question for y'all. Did you reach out to your new suite mates for those of you who lived on campus prior to getting there? And if so, what did you discuss?
Yeah, I could go first with this one. I lived in Whitehall my first year, and if anybody's a parent of a student who might live there, I'm pretty sure all the rooms are quads, so it's 2 rooms and 2 students per room. So I definitely reached out to all 3 of my roommates, to put it plainly. We just discussed what everybody was bringing, the days that they were moving in. Um, Anything that they wanted to kind of do while here at Temple. So like their major, if they're gonna join any clubs. We just wanted to get to know each other. So that was the main topic.
I also lived in Whitehall my first year. When I connected out to my suite mates and stuff, some of them didn't respond. So don't be afraid if they don't respond. They may just be very busy and did not check their email. But we also discussed like boundaries and what was okay and what we may like not want to bring into the room and stuff like that.
Thank you both so much. And I know they also, once the students arrive, they'll be able to meet with their RA, which is their resident assistant, and talk about like boundaries like Jada just mentioned. So that's definitely helpful for them to get to know one another if they aren't able to connect prior to getting there. All right, thank you all so much. Our next question is, why did y'all choose Temple over some of your other options? Or like, what's your favorite part about Temple now that you're here?
I'll say for me, I chose Temple because as a Philly native, I know this is like a prominent school in the city. It was also a family school, in my family as well. I'm a third generation Temple student. That's a fun fact about me. I think generally, especially like out of the 4 colleges here in the city, this was the most practical for me for like location, financial cost, resources, especially what they had for my program in psychology too as well. And I'd say my favorite part about Temple is not just how big the school is, but it's very diverse. And I think generally they have something here for everyone, every like kind of interest that they may have, or any kind of person with any kind of identity to, or like any kind of like educational interest or classes, major. They generally have something for people. So I love it.
To add on what to Josh said, I also agree that the diversity of temples, my favorite part. Growing up in Philly, being a Philly native like Josh, I was kind of expecting just to be around like other Philly people, just because I know a lot of people from my high school and like just in my area went to Temple, but I was able to make connections with people all over the country and world and just get to see like other aspects of life. And like I was scared staying in the same like city and everything, going to college, not being able to make that experience, but I was definitely able to, and yeah, it's great.
Just to add on to what Josh and Megan said, there's a lot of opportunities here at Temple as well. I had a lot of trouble choosing schools at first, but once I came to Temple and explored all the opportunities with the clubs, the organizations, the programs, and just the fact that it's close to such a big city that is Philly, it made such an easy decision for me. But also the community is just a big part of what Temple is. And that was ultimately the thing that made me realize that Temple was the place to go for my 4 years of undergrad.
Thank you all so much. I know Anusha shared a link in the chat to help you all learn more about the clubs and organizations that we have here at Temple. I know there's over 400 as it was mentioned, so feel free to check those out, but thank you all so much. Another reminder to those of our participants in the panel right now, or for those who are participating in the webinar, feel free to share any questions that y'all may have by clicking that question mark button at the bottom of your screen and entering them into the Q&A. All right, our next question for y'all is, what do students usually do on the weekends?
Great question. I know my first year here at Temple, obviously I'm not from the city. I come from a couple states away, so I didn't know what to do as much. In the first few weeks of being here, my resident assistant or RA, she taught everybody on our floor who was coming into Philly how to use our transit system. So kind of having that knowledge, I would just kind of take the Broad Street line, which runs directly through campus into the city. It's like a quick, maybe 10-minute ride away. You could literally see City Hall going down Broad Street for those who are unfamiliar. But I would just go walk around. Center City of Philadelphia does have a lot of nice places to sit around at. Maybe you want to grab a quick bite and just sit. My favorite spot during freshman year was Rittenhouse Square and just kind of like watching people go by. There's a lot of people that sell art or dance in that area. And it's just overall a very family friendly zone, I'd say. So that was definitely a favorite of mine. But now, after I finished my second year, I've been a bit more acquainted with the area and with the people. I really do just like love hanging out with my friends, whether it's in their apartments or dorms. We always have a great time. A fan favorite of ours is Just Dance. So definitely bring some things like that into campus.
Thank you. I love that answer. Yeah, there's definitely so much to do in and around campus. I know that there's a lot of events being held by a couple of different organizations and departments here on campus. So like your students' resident assistants will probably hold events on the weekends occasionally. And then there's student leadership and engagement. I know holds bingos and stuff on the weekends. So there's definitely things to do on campus and off campus and around campus if your student is interested in that. Our next question for you all is, how easy or hard is it to find off-campus housing after your first year?
I can take that question. I do live off campus right now, going into my third year of college. I'd say that there are a lot of opportunities to live off campus. Temple itself provides a lot of off-campus housing with the Nest, and a lot of things like that. But apart from those, there's the View, the Vantage that are really close to campus, but they're considered off-campus. There's a lot of apartment housing that are close by to campus within a 15 to 20-minute walk maximum is what I've seen. And there's a lot of other opportunities just near campus as well. There's W Living, there's the Avery, and all of those different buildings that you could find apartments in. So I'd say it's a really easy way to find off-campus housing, and also just be with the same people that your student has been with within the first few years with roommates and other people as well.
I'll also add on to that. There are Facebook groups for like off-campus housing to find like apartments that are like a row home, like a few streets away from campus. That's where I'm living, and it was like really easy to find the apartment, connect with the landlord. So that's definitely another option.
Our next question, and thank you all so much for answering. Our next question is, did anybody live in 1940? I'll start with that, and then if no.
I lived in 1940
Okay,
University.
perfect. If so, are you able to place anything under your bed like storage? And can you store things under the beds in all of the residence halls?
I was able to fit like pretty big bins in 1940 like under my bed. I'd say I don't know the exact like measurements, but there's a lot of space. I fit yeah, like big Tupperware bins kind of, and then also like my clothing, like off-season clothing, I fit under there. There's a lot of space, surprisingly.
Yeah, I didn't live in 1940, but I'm pretty sure it has the same layout as Whitehall. Um, to kind of put it for a reference, the if you go to Walmart or Target or wherever you do your kind of bigger shopping at department stores, things like that, the white three shelf like rolling carts, those fit easily under beds, I think. Obviously, please check the University Housing and Residential Life portal or website for specific measurements, but I'm pretty sure they're about 3 feet tall or go as much as 3 feet tall. Um, and the beds, you are able to lower them and raise them to fit your
Perfect. And then thank y'all both. Some more information is on their website, like Monica mentioned. I just resent that in the chat, but I know they have virtual tours on there as well as different measurements for things. So hopefully, if that's not on there, there are definitely a lot of other measurements that can help you with your planning as you get ready to move to campus. Our next question for everyone is, do you all genuinely feel safe on campus, and how far do you stray from campus for things like eating out, going to the theater, etc.?
yeah,
Um,
great. Go ahead, Josh, it's fine.
are you sure, Monica?
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
okay. Okay. So I can personally say I have always felt safe on campus, and I know especially as a Philly native, and I think just even be honest that so where Temple is located in Philadelphia, specifically North Philadelphia and Northern Liberties area, I know there could be a negative connotation about the area, like, oh, it's so bad, it's so dangerous, just a bunch of stuff. But generally, I can say even coming from West North Philly to go to school, I have felt safe, nothing but safe up there. And I feel Temple overall does a great job to ensure that not just for the students, but also the staff as well, but just for everyone in the Temple community. Shout out the Temple University Police Department too. You'll see public safety out there with their bikes and stuff, or just around campus patrolling the area. We also have 24/7 security in our academic buildings all day, and especially in our residential buildings all day. So especially if anyone has any concerns about, oh, are they only there during some times of the day? They will literally be there 24/7. Also, shout out the blue poles. We have around like 68 of them across the span of campus. So you can ring those if anyone needs just an emergency to connect in when there's any kind of like crisis or anything too. Also in the TU Safe app, they have a lot of resources like the TU Flight, which escorts students to campus or off campus areas too. There are three loops, the north, south, and the east loop as well. They have walking escorts too. Um, yeah, generally they take a lot of precautions to make sure that everyone is safe. Also, another thing that I want to add there too is that they do broadcast emergency notifications about any kind of police activity, crime reports, or especially if there's any kind of school closure too through TU Alert, and they'll send that to you through the school email or also to your phone. And parents, you can also enroll in that as well. So I've also felt nothing but safe here.
Yeah, and just to go off of that, just from personal experience, I've never had a negative experience here on Temple's campus. Um, of course, there are situations where you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, but that I feel like that's not exclusive to Temple University. Um, but yeah, I've always felt great. I know in other orientation groups that I've had, students who run ask me if they feel good about running by themselves or if it's a thing that they should be doing. And I always tell them as like even as a lady like running by myself, I've never gotten any negative like experiences from it. I always feel good running by myself around. I know maybe sometimes I'm coming back from the library late at night. Temple University is actually the second brightest thing in Philly, first being IKEA. So there are definitely a lot of things that Temple does to be proactive about safety. But other than that, I feel like the community members around us aren't really looking to start up drama or anything like that. So as long as you're respectful to the area, people are going to be respectful back.
I just want to put this out there just to remember that Philly is a city at the end of the day. Just be mindful. Tell your students just like keep their head on a swivel, watch their surroundings. If they don't like feel some type of uncertainty, they can put their phones up, have their headphones off, like just be aware of what's going on around you. Personally, I have left the library at 4 a.m. one time and was completely fine. I felt completely safe. I have left practice at 11 p.m. So Temple is a very safe campus.
I would just say to summarize all of that, like there are resources available and just teach your students how to be aware of their surroundings because again, like Jada said, they are in a city, but otherwise, yeah, I have heard great things about our public safety and all the resources available. So thank y'all for answering that question. Our next question is, are classes only on weekdays or are any held on the weekends?
Great question. For the most part, all classes are going to be on weekdays. There are some exceptions, however. I know one of them being the emergency medical services course. So if you're trying to get certified in EMS or EMT, those are going to be held on Saturdays. However, I know there's other programs such as like ROTC that do have events that are mandatory for the program that are held on the weekend. But again, those are more like specialized courses or programs that you will know that they're on the weekends.
I know there are also some physical education classes that will also be partake on Saturdays as well.
Thank you both. All right, just a reminder to everyone on here, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A feature. Our students are happy to answer them for you. But our next question for y'all, and you have been through this already, is it hard to get an on-campus job?
I can answer this because I have two. I'm currently working as an orientation team leader, and then I'll also be working in the recreational centers. We have IBC and STAR, which are basically two gyms on campus. It's definitely isn't hard. There's a lot of options. It's more so just trying to like find when the jobs open up. I'd say fall semester, it's definitely fall and spring semester, freshman year, it's definitely a little more difficult just because the jobs are already filled with like students that have already gone to Temple. But when it comes that spring semester, a lot of openings like occurred. Like I know the student center was hiring a bunch, the recreational centers, which I'm working at, they hire a lot in the spring. And you don't, I know a lot of people have questions about work studies too. Some jobs are like only work studies, but I personally don't have one and I was still able to get two jobs. So I would be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I would recommend your students definitely like looking around for spring semester, freshman year, but it's not like completely impossible to get one like the fall semester.
I know a lot of jobs also provide their employment stuff during the spring semester near the end. A lot of them hired over the summer and they provide their interviews over the summer as well. So just make sure to tell your student to be on the lookout near the end of the spring semester. I do student success center tutoring, and they usually provide their availabilities during that time. So if they do require any hiring or anything like that, they do send that out. And also tell your student to look at the newsletters. The newsletters that they sent out for my college, the College of Science and Technology, they always have any employment opportunities. So just tell them to be on the lookout in all of those different spaces as well.
You can also look up Temple University student jobs, like the website, and then you can go to like the student section, and it'll be like a list of all the jobs that's hiring. And then you can also go to like certain resources, like they post it on their Instagram page. So it's also a good resource.
Thank you all so much. Another quick plug I want to make is that we have these webinars for parent and family virtual orientation with a lot of different campus partners throughout the summer that you'll have access to through your portal. So we ask a lot of the different partners, like if your students want to get involved, how can they do that or how can they get employed with certain offices? I know last week we had one with campus recreation, so Megan's place of employment. And I sent some information about that, but we have a lot of other partners who do employ students, so definitely check those out to get some more information about that. Okay, our next question is, do resident assistants and directors and other university staff do a good job of keeping drugs and alcohol out of the residence halls? Can you give advice on how students can avoid being around those types of things?
Yeah, of course. Temple University does have a drug and alcohol policy. It just states that it's just not allowed on campus, but it is an open campus, so sometimes people might be walking around that aren't necessarily affiliated with the university that might be consuming something that they probably shouldn't be, such as like smoking something. I don't know. But other than that, the resident assistants, they do a pretty good job, especially during the more active parts of the school year, like such as homecoming, Halloween, they or whenever people are going off to a winter break, they do go into the rooms of the residents that are living in the residence halls. And they just look around to make sure everything's safe. They're not necessarily like trying to bust people, but like, their priority is the safety of people living or the students living in the residence halls. So they're going to report it regardless if they smell something or if something comes up. So yeah, I know Josh is going to be an RA, so he might have a bit more to say about that, but they do room checks. So yeah, that's like if you're not involved with anything like that, if you're not consuming anything that you shouldn't, that's kind of like the baseline of it and the most you're gonna get.
Yeah, and to add on to what Monica said, as she summed up everything very greatly, we do room checks. Most times they happen on breaks. Sometimes they will and can randomly be like during the school year, like while students are actively in the buildings. Also, another thing to add too is that while RAs are on duty, they do make rounds around the building and they assess every floor and every stairwell too. Um, Heavy on emphasizing that Temple is an alcohol and drug-free campus, so we take a lot of consideration into respecting this residential space, especially with all of the students and all of our other staff members, with the resident directors or other people who live in the buildings too. Another thing too that I additionally want to add too that Temple has been getting good with is that especially when people may check in guests, I think most residential, but I don't want to say like certain ones, I'll say most of them do, they do bag checks too, because they especially know that people are able to kind of like sneak in like any kind of like alcohol or like any kind of like illegal substances. And then of course, like all it takes is one wrong thing and it's just a big situation jeopardizing that. So they especially crack down on that by of course keeping a track record on who comes in because they have to do that for guests to be checked in and also by checking their bags too. And it's just not nothing that's too crazy, just like a quick bag check, of course, to make sure that things are fine.
We also have medical amnesty, which encourages students to reach out for help for themselves or for other people who may be under the influence. They will not be penalized for it. It's just a way to to get the help that they do need. The only way like they can possibly be penalized if somebody is constantly calling for them or if they're constantly calling for like one of their peers.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. All right, our next question is, could you all share a bit more about student organizations and club activities? If you're specifically involved in anything, if you want to share those as well, that'd be wonderful.
That's a
Yeah,
great. Go ahead. It's okay.
no, it's
All
fine.
right. All right. So yeah, Temple has over 430 student orgs and clubs. And it's a very active campus with all of those different opportunities. I myself am a part of three clubs and organizations that pertain to my major and my future goals. But other than that, I know a lot of my peers and my roommates are also a part of different clubs and organizations that pertain to their interests. For example, I know there's a cooking and baking club that was started up, and they have like a kitchen in Paley Hall that does activities with that. But there's so many opportunities on campus, and you should encourage your students to go on to AlConnect and make sure that they can find all those opportunities. AlConnect has a search feature that can allow your student to look at different clubs and organizations that are on campus, whether it's clubs or if it's a fraternity and sorority or anything like that. But in the beginning of the school year, during weeks of welcome, there is Temple Fest. And Temple Fest is when all of the clubs and organizations they're spread around campus and they all have their own stalls and they basically are there for the students to look around and see what they could be interested in and join any different organization that they want to be a part of. And it's just a great opportunity to meet new people and explore your interests and join different clubs on campus.
Yeah, and to go off what Nitin said, if your student doesn't find a club that they really identify with, or if there's a need for a club, they're more than welcome to create their own club. It is very easy and accessible to do here on the Temple's campus. The only requirement or stipulation to making a club is that there cannot be a club like it already. But other than that, it's super easy to do. Yeah. Oh, and I'm also a part of ESCA, which is the Exercise Science Kinesiology Association. It's a major related club, and also part of the Red Diamond Association, which is basically like the fundraising and the events side of the ROTC program here on Temple's campus. And then if you are worried that your students might be a little bit overbooked and doesn't have time for clubs, don't worry. A lot of clubs here on campus don't have too many like mandatory meetings. For example, my freshman year, I really wanted to be part of the run club here on campus, but I just didn't have the time for it. They would go on runs when I was in class. So every now and then I'd come in and they would always welcome me. And I'm sure that goes for any other club as well.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear from everyone's responses that there are so many opportunities for your student to get involved and find something that they're really interested in. And like Monica mentioned, if they can't find it, they can make it, and I'm sure other students will be interested in joining. So definitely good opportunities on campus. All right, our next question for y'all. Does anybody keep a car on campus or know anybody who does, and is it worth it?
I can answer this. One of my roommates last year, she was from Connecticut, so it was like a good like few hours away. So she kept her car. But I wouldn't really say it was like necessary. She only really used it to go home, like certain weekends and things like that. Because SEPTA, like Philly's public transportation, it's really reliable. I know it's been mentioned before, but like the Broad Street line, you can basically get to like Center City to the stadiums. Yeah, she did keep it in like one of the parking lots for the fall semester, and then I think she ended up just like getting rid of it. Like she didn't need it spring semester. So I would say it's not really necessary since it's a city. Public transportation is great.
If your student does choose to get a car, and if you prefer that they have a car on campus for transportation, I would suggest that they do keep it in one of the parking garages that are on campus. We have the Montgomery garage and the Bell garage that are next to the campus buildings, and they usually have a lot of parking spaces. They do have a monthly pass, I believe, or one for the entire semester that you have to pay. That's around 200 to $400 depending on what choice you choose. But that is one way to keep it safe to make sure that you don't incur any parking tickets or anything like that, since those are very strict in the city. So just make sure that if you do have a car, make sure to at least get some parking for it that is legal.
Thank you all. Yeah, I kept my car on campus because I would go in and out occasionally. And I did use the parking garage and I've had a great experience with it. I used Bell Garage, but the others have been amazing from what I've heard. And I just sent a link to those as well. So if your student is interested in bringing their car on campus and wants to get those parking services, I think they just went on sale. I'm not sure if it's for everyone or just returning students, but just keep an eye out on that as well. All right, our next question is also transportation related. Do a lot of students use bikes on campus? My son wants to bring his bike, and I think campus might be too crowded for bike riders. What do y'all think?
I'm not sure if are bikes allowed in the residence halls? Because I know there's sometimes they're like,
They are, yes. I know in 1300 they on each floor they had a different bike rack. So if your student did have a bike, they could bring it up to their floor, and they have separate rooms for for all the bikes that you could lock it in and just leave it there overnight, and whenever you need it, you could just take it.
Certain residence halls allows it. I know Whitehall doesn't allow bikes and scooters inside.
1940 also had the same like bike rooms as 1300.
Yeah, but to answer or go back to the question, people do use bikes on campus, but I mostly see the city bikes, which is kind of the ones, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the concept or not, but there are bikes that you could kind of like rent out. There's different locations throughout the city. And you could like ride around, and then whenever you're done with the bike, you could put it back into the charging or the resting locked locations of the bikes. But yeah, those are the main ones that I see. But every now and then I'll see somebody with their own personal bike. If they're doing a workout, they're just kind of around in those.
There are also bike racks all around campus. So if your student does have a bike and they do choose to use it to get around campus, they could always have a safe spot to keep it outside the different educational buildings. Since I'm not sure if they're allowed inside the buildings themselves.
Thank you. And then just to add on to that, just make sure your student is aware of where the bike lanes are or are not. Some streets have them, some streets don't. So just kind of making sure your student is aware of those for safety purposes is important. And then Monica, I also sent a link to the Indigo bikes, which are the Philly version of city bikes, I'm pretty sure. So there's definitely a couple of those stations where your students can kind of check out a bike depending on what they're interested in doing. All right, our next question for y'all is it possible for a student athlete to find jobs related to their sport?
I would say so, yes. There are different things that happen around campus. Um, I know that there are positions available with the athletics department here at Temple University. It just depends on what sport your student is doing. I know a big one is the football people. They have a lot of, people that need help or that just they have a lot of student availability. I see that a lot though with internships, especially if you are like going into exercise sports science, kinesiology, or like health professions. I know internship is mandatory, so that's where a lot of the positions are prioritized. But other than that, like Megan mentioned, there's campus recreation that they can help out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a few of my coworkers do like like are part of D1 sports and things like that. So if they want to work at the gyms, feel free.
Thank you all so much. Just a reminder to everyone on the call, if you have any questions, again, our students are very willing to answer any questions you have, so please feel free to throw those into the Q&A feature. Our next question is, do you know if students can use gift cards for on-campus restaurants?
I don't think they're able to. I know at least for the Panera on campus, they have a sign that strictly states that Panera rewards or things like that cannot be used. It might differ for other places on campus, but I feel like if it's kind of like that for one, it's like that for the others. But there are other places on campus that aren't really affiliated with the meal swipes or dining dollar program, so they might be able to use them on those.
And I also, just to add, I know a couple of our restaurants on campus, so like Chick-fil-A, Panera, I think as well, you can use Grubhub, and I think you could use a gift card for Grubhub through the app if your student wants to purchase things through there, but just not directly to the restaurant. All right. Our next question is, are there discounted public transportation passes for Temple students? And if so, how do we find more information about that?
Yeah, great question. There are SEPTA discount fares, but they're more like the passes. They're not like the individual tickets that you could pay like whenever you're going into the train or the subway. They're just the overall like passes. They have different levels of them or different availabilities to them based on what zone you're traveling in, how much you're going to be using it. But yeah, Temple's website has them, and then your student will receive an email about them. Before the semester starts or the beginning of the semesters because that's when they're typically on sale.
Perfect. And I think Anisha just sent some more information about those SEPTA passes in the chat as well. So please feel free to click on that link to learn more about that. But thank you for answering, Monica. Our next question is, does anyone have internships, and how helpful was your college or department in helping you find those?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the exercise sports science major does have internships mandatory for our graduation. Um, our internship coordinator, she is very great at giving us options on campus and off campus, and she has and her team has also helped us get our requirements in for that. Um, if you aren't in a major that, or if your student isn't in a major that requires an internship, it can look a little bit different. But we do have a career center here on campus, and they are very great at coordinating and helping students get internships throughout the city. But yeah, there are a lot of Temple alums in different facilities around the city and outside the city, and they're always welcoming Temple students.
Me personally, I don't have an internship, but I do know for Klein, College of Media and Communications, they have their personal career fair. I don't know, I think other departments does as well, where basically different like not organizations, but different like news companies and stuff like that will come up and the students can go and they can talk, they can pitch themselves, give their resumes over, and then from there they can get an internship as well. I know the Career Center also has a career fair during spring semester, so that's a great thing to check out.
Yeah, a lot of the colleges themselves have a lot of job fairs, and that's a really useful place to just go have your resume, your cover letter, and all those things just out in the open and just to like see different employers, like potential employers that you might meet. But another thing is that you should always look at the newsletters for any opportunities like that. And a lot of people also send out emails. So I know I'm in the pre-professional health advising canvas, and they send out a lot of the different opportunities that you might have. I know a lot of doctors' offices send out internship opportunities, and that's how I got one opportunity like that for scribing. So that's a very good opportunity just to like look at your email for anything that is around internships. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities around Temple, is what I'm trying to say.
I'd also just really quickly like to mention that app Handshake, which is like a career-centered app. Temple's partners with it, I'm pretty sure, and you can find a lot of internships through Handshake, like major related, like with being advertising, a lot of like social media content creator interns, things like that. And then I also highly recommend your students, especially if it's like a communications field, connecting like with your professors, whether that's going to their office hours, connecting them with LinkedIn, because I know a lot of my professors will like repost internships and things like opportunities. So definitely make those relationships with faculty and staff.
Another thing I want to add is although I personally have never like had an internship with Temple, I've done other shits in the past. I feel like a good stepping stone to also get to internship is that I feel like this should generally be for most majors. Based on what major you are, they have a careers class that you have to take. So since I'm psychology, they had a careers in psychology class, and my professor personally like she was great. They help you prepare a lot for just like resumes and job interviews and networking. Also, internships is a part of that too. And I think this should also apply for most majors too. They also do have an internship class where if you work an internship, you can get credits that count towards graduation for that too as well. Another thing too is that not only do they have a lot of like internship opportunities and just places where they can do recruitment for that stuff too, but also for paid and unpaid ones as well, especially if you work an unpaid one. If you apply for that and you get matched with an unpaid one, you can actually get a stipend for that too as well.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Another thing I want to plug really quick, actually, I want to emphasize what Nitin said. Just let all your students know to be checking their email as frequently as they can. I know we're sending a lot of communications and it can feel like a lot, but there is important information in everything we're sending to both your students and to you. So make sure that you're checking your email and your students are doing the same, just because there will be a lot sent out to them, and it could include information about internships or jobs that could be really beneficial to your students. And another thing I wanted to mention, I threw it in the chat as well, but the University Career Network page, there are a lot of different colleges within Temple that do have their own career services. And then there's also the career services that are for all of Temple University. So it could be beneficial for your student to check out both their college's specific resources if they have one, as well as Temple's career services. So just wanted to plug those as well. Thank you all so much for answering that question. Our next one is, what are some essentials that we should buy or pack for our students? Anything that you bought and never used, or anything that you really wished that you bought?
I think a very important one that I keep on telling the students in my orientation groups is bring scissors. Bring scissors to move-in day. You will be cutting a lot of things open, breaking down boxes, whatever it is. I feel like scissors get overlooked. Bring a pair or two. It is a very, very helpful thing to have, not only for move-in day, but of course throughout the semester. Other than that, I feel like, at least in my experience, I brought a little bit too much rather than too little, especially when it came to clothing. So just be open and honest with your student. And when it comes to like the clothes, are you actually going to wear that? Or are they able to come back and get the winter clothing or the seasonal clothing or whatever it may be later on? Kind of set up a system so the closet isn't too full.
I agree. I also bought too much clothes that I didn't wear at all. But also, I personally, for me, I bought a Brita and I didn't use my Brita. It's like a water filter thing because I've always getting cases of water, or I was using like Temple's water fountains around campus. So I technically didn't use my Brita. I also bought an air purifier. I didn't use mine because my roommate had theirs. So just make sure you communicate that. But something I would basically I couldn't live without would be my storage thing because I had so much stuff I needed endless storage, and yeah, so that's what I couldn't live without.
I'd recommend like paper plates and like utensils. I know as a student, I did not feel like doing the dishes, so having like paper plates to use for like microwaving things and that was really helpful. And then also like uh extension cords or like one of the ones that have a lot of plugs because there will be like a lot of things to plug in. Um and I definitely ran out of space sometimes. And then I also agree with Jada, lots of storage. If your student's anything like me, they'll be buying a lot of things, and yeah, they'll leave college with like 10 times more things than they came with. So,
Thank you.
I don't know if this is also kind of part of it, but now that Jada brought up the Brita situation, a quick life hack. Don't there if your student, sorry, is living in their residence halls, each floor or every other floor, depending on the building, will have a water refill station. The water is purified and available to drink. Um, what I did my freshman year, I didn't have a Brita. What I did, I brought like or bought a gallon of like water. I used that and I would just fill that up. And whenever I needed water, I would just, have it in that gallon of water. I'd go fill it up whenever I needed it, but I just have the water
Okay, wait, sorry, one last thing. If you're gonna go to the grocery store, please get a little wagon. I got a little wagon. I didn't think I was gonna need it. I That is a lifesaver, especially depending on like how far your residence hall is from the grocery store. Please get a wagon. It is so useful.
Great. Thank y'all. I know that'll be very helpful for all the parents and families on this call. All right. Another question that's a little personal, so if you don't feel comfortable answering, feel free not to. But do y'all feel safe dating in college? And is there a department on campus that provides support if students don't feel safe in addition to campus safety?
I don't think this like um resonates with me. This isn't like a question of mine. I didn't meet my boyfriend through Temple. It was like a high school thing. But we did mention Alconnect and Suitable. Suitable is the app. Alconnect is just the Temple platform. I know a lot of clubs or just general events here at Temple's campus are a great way to meet people. I feel like if you're in a great crowd, you're eventually going to meet a great person. I know I've seen my friends started dating like my other friends, and we run in the same circles. And it's just like if you put yourself out there in the same way that you're going to make good friends, you're eventually going to meet good people.
I also want to plug a couple resources that we have on campus, but thank you so much, Monica. That's a great answer. Our Title IX office does help students who are in any situations where they might be uncomfortable with specific dating situations. So I want to plug that as well, or any gender-based discrimination. So I'm going to send that in the chat. And then I did want to bring up our Wellness Resource Center also has sessions that are focused on student relationships as well. So I'll plug both of those into the chat in just a second, but those can be helpful if your student is in any uncomfortable situations related to dating on campus, or if they need additional support or just want to learn more about healthy relationships and what those are supposed to look like or can look like. So I just want to plug those as well. And then our next question, I'll send those in just a second. But is anyone in the Fox School of Business? And if so, or if not, just depending on your major, is there a particular laptop brand that y'all found helpful? The laptop policy says that MacBooks are not recommended due to incompatibility with some curriculum items needed. And do y'all have any technology recommendations?
I'm not sure any of us here are in Fox, but I have a lot of friends that are in Fox. And I know a lot of them who actually do use MacBooks. I know they don't they put on their website that it's not really compatible with the apps, but they have found ways to use them anyway. The main thing that they're talking about is Excel, which is kind of hard to put on your MacBook, but there is a way to put that on there. Apart from that, I know a lot of the Windows laptops, such as HP, Dell, Lenovo, are usually compatible with all their apps very well. So they could for sure use that. But you could use any computer. There's not one specific one that is like the best of the best. Really depends on what your student values based on like what they prefer for their computer use. But yeah, I would personally suggest a Lenovo if you don't want a MacBook. But yeah, that's just me.
I just very quickly reached out to one of our other friends in Fox School of Business, who says that they recommend anything with 32 gigabytes and anything that uses Windows or the Microsoft tools, because just to echo what Nitin said, it's kind of hard to use some of those Microsoft tools on a MacBook. So if your student is a business major, I was one in college and I know we had to use Excel a lot and just other Microsoft tools as well. So it can be more difficult because some of the like the keys on your keyboard don't align well. And so it just might be easier to get a different type of computer. Again, she said 32 gigabytes. So that is what I will say about that. But thank y'all for answering. Our next question for y'all is, do you think renting one mini fridge is enough for 4 boys in 1300?
I can answer this question as someone who lived at 1300 with three other guys. Um, But one mini fridge was for sure enough. It really depends exactly on how the students are gonna have food in their apartment. All of us had me meal plans because we were living in 1300. So we were just getting food, eating them, and then throwing them out. Whatever we had. But if there's extra. Of course, that is when I would use the mini fridge. My parents did send me some food, which is what I would usually use to store in the fridge. But other than that, there was not much that was needed. So one mini fridge was enough for all of us. But yeah, that's all I'd say from my experience.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, our next question is about meal plans. If my student has an unlimited meal plan, is there a need for plates and other stuff to keep in the room?
If they have my roommate, my freshman year, she had an unlimited meal plan, but she did like to keep snacks around, or she did live in the area, so her she would bring food from home, whatever it was. So it is nice to have, but maybe not as much as other people would if they didn't have an unlimited.
Thank you. I'm sending a link about meal plans now. All right, our next question for y'all is, how did you handle your finances when you went to college, other than, or like trying not to ask parents and family for money and just kind of like, for those of you who wanted to deal with the money situation or finances on your own?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, a lot of my financial support came from scholarships. So I was luckily able to get that as my support, or my main part of my support. But like we've mentioned before, campus jobs or work study programs, whatever it may be, or even jobs outside of campus are really good to keep an income coming in. I know a lot of students bring their businesses on campus. So I see a lot of students that like to do hair there or nails or they do custom things, whatever it is, that's how other students make money on campus. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. It's just a matter of kind of like finding them. It does take a bit, but yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Our next question for y'all, for those of you, I think a couple of you live in Vantage or the View, is living in Vantage safe and comparable to on-campus accommodations?
I do live at Vantage, and I think it is a slightly better place to live than the on-campus housing, since it has a lot of more amenities. I will say it is more expensive than the on-campus housing, and there isn't anything here that is like really more necessary than whatever you get on campus. It's just the fact that the rooms are slightly larger. There's amenities here, as I said, like the gym, and other like the office, the mail room that is easy to access, and a lot of other things that will be on their website for sure. But there isn't anything that's like too overboard, like that I would be like, yes, this is the place to live off campus. But the only major thing is that they do provide single bedrooms on campus. They do have a quad, so that means that two people do live together in one room. And that is one of the reasons that I know a lot of people live in the Vantage. But yeah, other than that, it's just a place with a lot of good amenities. But it's similar to what I would see on campus as well.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, our final question for all of you, it's like rapid fire because I know we only have a couple minutes left. But what is your last piece of advice for parents and family members as they transition to having their student here at Temple?
Yeah, great question. I feel like this is also like a very individual question. Whatever works for you and your family might not work for me and my family, and vice versa. But I feel like the main point is finding out how your student sees support. I know my freshman year, I was really excited and glad whenever I got a care package for my birthday. It had a lot of like like mac and cheese that you could just like put water in microwave. And that was just like really amazing to me. I felt like so like seen and loved for my family. But another thing my family does is that I do call home pretty often. I know a lot of students don't like doing that or don't do that at all, but that's just the way that I do it. But again, it's kind of just figuring out what works for you and your students.
I would also say allow your students some freedom. Like it's okay to check in, but like allow them to like get adapted to campus and like meet friends and stuff like that. But also like if you know your student's not really like out there like an extrovert, push them a little bit. Tell them it's okay to go outside and mix and mingle with people. So yeah.
Yeah, I would just add on to that really quickly. Like, listen to your student when they're like telling you things. It's a bunch of new experiences for them. They're meeting new people. Be open to like their experiences. And yeah, and give them some grace because it's definitely it's a whole new world basically going to college and like it's a culture shock. So give them some grace in case they are missing a few phone calls and things like that.
I would say for sure also explore homecoming during that weekend. Please come and support your student, explore campus with them. Go to the homecoming football game. That's such a great opportunity for y'all to bond with them throughout that weekend. Go to the activities, get some nice merch and things like that. But yeah, it's just like as everyone else said, connect with them, make sure you provide the support that they require and just listen to their needs maybe. And just be there for them. I think that's the best thing you can do.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you being here. You shared so much important information. So I just want to thank you all one more time. But unfortunately, for everyone else here, that is all the time that we have today. But thank you so much to our panelists again for joining us. You will see our office's contact information on the screen, but we can also direct any questions that you have to our OTLs if you want more specific student-related answers, so we can ask them the questions and get back to you as well. So please feel free to reach out to us. They're all more than willing to answer any follow-up questions that you have. In addition, we'll also be posting the recording to this session in the Orientation Hub in the Parent and Family Experience portal shortly for your reference. And of course, our virtual parent and family orientation is continuing, so please visit the Hub to register for any listed upcoming webinars and to see recordings of previous webinars. The upcoming panels are on the right side of your screen there, so if you're interested in any of those, please feel free to register for those. Lastly, we will also be sending you a short survey to ask how today's session has helped you as you prepare for your student to attend Temple in the fall. So please take a couple of minutes to let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much again to our panelists and to you all for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank y'all.